Hello, YouTubers. This is our second session where my brother Yasir here and I continue his journey into building a virtual bazaar or a little project called Vazar. And the idea of this project is to allow people to, post about their products in their neighborhoods, and people within that range, be able to find these products. The solution is simple. It's easy. It's going to be a web application. Yasser is very graciously, and very generously allowing me to be part of this journey and be an assistant to him. And hopefully, we'll be able to show you guys a lot of amazing ideas that we discuss together. And as you can see, like if you'll go through the engineering standard, you'll see we always start with raw requirements, and then we take these requirements and tell them into models and simulations, and then we take these models and simulations and start creating a software out of that and be able to write our tests and all that. And what's most important about this, we talked about something I've never talked about before, which is primary models, secondary models, and a relational models, which is really, really important because it'll help you kind of understand where your models settle. This categorization will help us as engineers know the importance of every model, and it will help us detect when we are modeling our product incorrectly. Hey, Yasser, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm doing good.
It's good to see you again. So Yasser got the whole
Same here.
situation set up for him today. He's got
Yeah.
the environment with the whiteboard. As soon as you see the whiteboard behind, you know that this is an engineer right there. He's got the marker. He's ready to do some architecture. Since COVID, started and all that, and we went remote, I kind of, I stopped doing whiteboard and started building a new skill set with Draw
Draw
IO.
IO. Mm.
Yeah, and that became my it became my thing. Let me save this file for obvious reasons, right, Yasser?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's okay. So this is so this is where we started. Just about 20 minutes before we started this session, I just don't know. I just make all of these drawings and then I just go and shut down my computer, restart my computer, just all of it disappears. You know, Yasser, there is this
Yeah.
um there's this really dear friend of mine, Sri Hamruda Jagadish, and when I draw something before I hang up the call, she said, "Wait, wait, wait, wait! Give me this file before you shut down," because she saw
Yeah.
50,000 times before. she's like, she's like, dude, stop with the shutting down and forgetting all the information. This is important. How are we gonna move forward this way?
Yeah.
So anyway, this is really fun, so let's pick up where we left off, right? We
Yeah.
have a situation here where we talked about a profile. This
Hmm.
profile can belong to before I do that, yeah, sir. It's amazing the I really appreciate the community. A lot of people went on our video and they left some comments, really excited about the stuff that you're doing and all of that good stuff. I think last time, let's see, wow, it's been a while, man. I went halfway around the world and back before we. So this is what I saw last time. So the most interesting one is this one, honestly, but there's a lot of good stuff in there. So
Hmm.
this is Paul Ward. This gentleman works with me on the OData project, right? We call him Wardy, right?
British
And
guy.
yeah, the British guy, the guy with the funny accent, right? And he was talking about, oh, we need roles and then stores and then products and then product type and then stores again. So he's
Hmm.
trying to kind of, but I don't know if the role needs to be related to the store, necessarily, because a profile will still be interested. Like you could save my favorite stores at some point in time. You could go and say, I want to save my favorite stores. You didn't need a role for that, right? I don't
Hmm.
know if the role should be the only connection between a profile and a store. But yeah, we could pull him in at some point in time. It looks like people really excited, with the work that you're doing here. The video seems to have quite a nice, community support, and people will be
Hmm.
watching us and doing that. Okay, so let's go back to the architecture. And I remember you telling me something about the models. What do you want to discuss about the models? So these are primary. We know these. And then we talked about secondary, which are comments and stuff like that, which we can build later. We just want to pick up the core of the project and then start building stuff on it. You know how Netflix, Netflix
Hmm.
does its work in terms of architecture and critical path. What they do is that they go and say, give me the critical path, give me the critical architecture, and let me out of that critical architecture, let me basically define the core models that I need to work with, and then these secondary models become secondary. That's why we call them primary and secondary
Hmm.
models and glue models. Okay, what do you want to
So
talk about? Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah,
Go ahead.
so we modeled these entities. So I discussed about categories. So obviously we can add categories later on, as you
Yes.
said,
Yes.
and then we can have a relationship with the other existing models that we have in the system.
Hmm.
And the second, what I think of is like my question was in for example, we have store or any, let us take any entity like product.
Hmm.
So in the product, we have name of the product and status.
Right.
And suppose we have some other attributes
Yeah.
in future.
Yeah.
Like as of now, we modeled
Yeah.
it according to our
Our
current,
basic need, just our
yeah,
basic. Yeah.
basic need. Yeah,
If you
and
need if you need to add things in the future, we can just do a model migration. You know what that means? Like you go, I'll show you this. It's really fun. What we basically do, we just go and add new attributes and we just
Mhm.
generate a new migration. Do you want to see it
Okay.
in real world? Do you want to see how it looks like?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I would love to
So
see
let,
that.
let, let me
So
show you an
it creates a column in the database. That means when
yes.
you, yeah, okay.
I just want to show you how simple it is because it's really exciting. Do you want to see? Yeah?
Hmm.
Okay. You want to see it or no? You don't want to see it or you want to see it? Tell me. Let me
Yeah,
see, let me
it will
show you how
be,
easy it is. Let me just show
yeah.
you how
Just quickly,
easy.
we can check. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's this one of my favorite projects. I call it OSSS, right? It's open source schooling system. It follows the standard, as much as possible. We have a lot of contributors on this project and all that kind of cool stuff. Okay. Let me just revert any stuff I do here. I usually use this project because it's very clean and I try to keep it up to date with all the engineering standards. It's very easy to go and say, oh, look at this project. We can do some changes in here. Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, let me just show you want to undo pending changes. Why it's not undoing? Let's do it. See, that's the beauty of knowing the command line. You can just, if the UI is failing you, you could just go and do git reset hard. We'll just clean up the world for you. There you go. That's a great example, kids, why you should know the command line, because sometimes the UI will just fail you. Okay, so here's an example, my friend. Let me just show you here a real life example. We have this model in here, and you have, let's say, a student model. So here is a student model, and this student model has like an ID, user ID, identity number, first name, last name, whatever you want to do, right? Let's say Yasser came one day and said, hey, we need to add a new column in here, right? And we need to call this column, I don't know, a bio, like a little biography about the student, right? So see, I just added one model in here, right? One attribute. You know what? All I have to do is what? I just go here and say add migration, add
Yeah.
bio
Okay.
to student
Mm-hmm.
ID. Wait for it. Add migration. Here we go. It's gonna build, and then it's gonna reflect immediately in the database. That's the beauty of ORM, object relational models, like Entity Framework and Scala. There's Spark and all that. Let me select the right project for this. So if I go into API, I have to show it to you and to the people because there aren't really much. Let's see, project. And then let's do OSSS API. Here you go. And let me take that guy out because there are so many project positional parameter. Let's see. Is it just one? Your startup project OSSS API does not reference. Oh, do I have my let me set my startup project here to API. Right. It's looking at my startup project. And then
Hmm.
let me kick that off again. So what this guy is gonna do, it's gonna generate C# code. Look at this C# code. It basically creates up and down, right?
Mm.
The up is the migration of creating a bio for a student, and the
Yeah.
down is to take that back. So it's like a rollback kind of thing. Now, all I have to do is just go like this and say update database. And I don't think I need it because I have auto migration enabled. But just in case, let's do this. Here we go. So I just created a migration
Hmm.
and it's done. If I go into the database here, my friend, and I go into what do we call our project? O triple S. Let's see, databases. O triple S. Here it is. And if you go into the tables, and if I open up the design for the students, view designer, watch this. Bio.
Yeah.
See how
Okay.
simple it is?
It's not visible.
It's
I
really
mean the
small.
text. Yeah. But I
Well,
understand that
but
bio
you
is
see this
a
one though, right?
yeah, yeah. Mm.
This one right here.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
immediately it became a part of, see how simple it is? Just like that,
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
right?
So
That's what,
this is this is possible only with entity framework
with only with
as a
entity
ORM
framework,
because
only with
I
entity
just
framework or its equivalent.
okay, full-fledged ORM, not
Yes,
like something like Dapper because
not
recently I
Dapper,
was reading Dapper. Yeah,
not
but I love
Dapper.
it because I can write SQL queries.
Well, here's the thing. I don't really mind Dapper. I don't have a problem with it. What I have a problem with is that if you write two languages in the same file, so you'll be writing SQL and C sharp in the same file. That to me seems kind of, pollution. This is why even if you
Tight,
look up, mhm,
yeah, tight binding between the SQL database and the application. I think it is. Yeah, please go
mhm.
ahead. Yeah, sorry.
You'll see this a lot in my approaches, like from a system design and engineering perspective. I didn't like how people do if else statements and for each loops into
Mhm.
Blazor applications. So they're mixing markup with C sharp code, right? So what did I
Yeah,
do?
yeah,
I went and created a library. I called it Pretty Blazor. And what this library went and did is that something like this. Let me just show you here real quick. I like to
I
show you
saw that.
things. You
Yeah,
saw it, right? But
yeah,
just
yeah.
but just for the
But
people
yeah,
watching us,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
right?
Sure.
So
Yeah.
if I go and say Pretty Blazor, GitHub, right? You'll find this library. I love the adaptation of this library, by the way. But look at this. Instead of doing if else statements like this here is really not. This is what I call obtrusive code, right? I turn it into this. Would you rather
Mm.
look at this or look at this? See the difference? Right? One
Yeah.
of it is more
Mm.
consistent with markup and one of it is not. I actually asked Steve Sanderson about this. I said to him, hey, what do you think about, obtrusiveness versus unobtrusiveness? He said, whatever makes sense for the team, based on the context. And I really love that answer because what are you and what you're building and how things stand. That's exactly what a framework designer should say. You shouldn't take sides or try to be opinionated about one thing or another, right? I am a level below Steve Sanderson, where I go and say, no, there's a standardization and we need to make sure we stay consistent so we can maintain an enterprise end-to-end project, right? But anyway, the whole point that I'm trying to say is I'm okay using Dapper, but it's gonna give you a little bit of trouble because you're gonna have to create your own. You're gonna do a lot of things by hand. Like you see that little move that I just made? How easy was that? Can you do the same thing in Dapper in that short
No,
time?
I don't think so. No, no, no. I need to do it manually. I mean, go into the SQL Server database and then fire that query to add a column.
There you go. Now,
So.
as someone who manages engineers on multiple projects, I can tell you right now, if you have a junior engineer coming out from the street, really coming out of college, and they
Mhm.
have only the capacity to learn one or two languages, you really want to consider the amount of technologies they want to learn before they hit the ground running. Why don't they just do everything, let them do everything in C sharp instead of having to
Yeah.
learn SQL and learn, I don't know, Bash, and then they have to know how to, well, what do you do then when you try to, what does Dapper do? Again, I'm not a hater on Dapper. I just think
Hmm.
that mixing two languages at the same time is a little bit problematic. This is why I don't use the SQL syntax in C sharp. Did you know that you can write SQL syntax in C sharp? Like instead of this fluent where student equals student ID equal, you can actually just literally write a SQL like command in C sharp, and you will never see me write something like that. Why? Because just the simple answer here is that using something like that becomes you become writing in two different languages, which is not something we want to do. This is why it's very lowly used across. It didn't get the right adaptation that the C sharp team expected it to do. So
Hmm.
anyway, so there's that part. It just makes programming simpler. If I want to change or add a model or do something like that, that shouldn't take more than a couple of minutes, right?
Yeah,
If you have to
that's
go
right.
do a lot of work for that, and it also helps you keep track of the changes that are happening in your system, because just because I generated that model right there, you'll see my unit tests failing. Why my unit
Yeah,
tests will
yeah,
be failing? Because I added a new property without actually preparing tests that can actually accommodate that kind of change. In Dapper, you don't get that.
yeah, yeah. Got it. And one question related to this update that you made to the project.
Uh-huh.
So for the OSSS project, you made these changes.
Uh-huh.
So how would you undo these things again now? Because
Oh, absolutely. It's very simple. Check it out.
yeah,
Oh, you came to the right guy for these questions. All I gotta do, really, all I gotta do is just go and say, you know,
down that method was there.
you can do down, and I can, but there is something that the system itself has been already applied, like the migration has been applied, right? So I can go and say revert migration, I think, or is it
Hmm.
undo migration? Hold on, one sec. Is it revert or roll back or something like that? Hold on, I'll tell you. Oh yeah, remove migration. Check it out. So I can go here and say remove migration
Hmm.
like this, and this will take care of the last one. The problem with that is that it will say, no, wait, you already applied this. This already been applied. So what do? I go and say update database 0. Look, like this.
Hmm.
And then I go and say remove migration. Oh, do I have? Oh, hold on. I need to disable my. Hold on. I have auto migration going on. So every time something. So this guy, just this one line here. Now check this
Okay.
out. I can go like this. One sec. Here you go. Here you go. And then I can just do this. Right? Now, if I do
Mm.
update database like this,
Mm.
watch what happens to my student model. Watch. Look at this student model. This is what it had before, right? Bio, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Now this is the old version, right? I'm gonna close this and open it back up again from the SQL Explorer. Watch this. Here's my student. Watch this. I want to show you the designer though. Hold on. View designer. Look, bio disappeared. It's not there anymore.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
1 minute, less
Okay,
than 60 seconds. Try to do
that's
that
great.
now. The more. By the way, the way that I just did it right now, this is the brute force local machine kind of way, right? If this code is in production, you're actually gonna have to revert a specific version, right? But that's just a quick way to just show you how I can go back and forth. Now, let me tell you this. In your migration, the code that gets migrated, you can actually, this generated code, you can actually go and say, I also want to see data. So this is my migration builder. I want to go and seed, add sequence, or add a straightforward SQL command. You can literally go and just add a SQL command in here if you want to. But all of this is
Okay.
abstracted away from me. I don't have to touch any of that.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
power or the beauty of ORMs, right? So I'll be honest with you. I'm a pragmatic, practical guy, right? I don't want to spend 3 hours every time I want to spin up a model or a database, right? When you're building enterprise systems, like some of these systems have 120 models.
Mm.
120 models. That's 120 database tables with relationships. That's a full-time job to sit there and do work for each and every one of them. Let me just spin up the model and fly, man. Let me just
Mm,
fly. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So that's why I love these ORMs, right? Now, some people might argue these ORMs sometimes try to do something smart like caching and transactions. This is why, following the standard and just keeping work within the transaction model, within the unit of work, it kind of alleviates some of these problems that we have with ORMs. ORMs are not perfect. Sometimes they try to be smart and they kill you. They really hit you in performance where you really don't expect. But for the most part, it works. Coming from someone who built almost 35 enterprise systems and I continue to build more and more, I'd say just go with ORM, man. It's just going to make your life easier. Mhm.
Yeah, that's great. And since we are into the ORM, there were discussions, and I got to see few videos,
Mhm.
a couple of months before.
Mhm.
You know, it is about the select query in the entity framework. While
Uh-huh.
we read the data,
Uh-huh.
it is sometimes it pulls up unnecessary data and then gives you a little bit of it at the at the I mean, it is not the performance is hampered when you have that reading. So people, they say you can use entity framework core to update, insert, these kind of things. But if you want to read, just use Dapper or something else. So what do you think about this? It's
I don't believe it. It's not
You
true.
don't believe
I'll
it?
tell I'll tell you
Okay.
why. I'll tell you why.
Hmm.
In the entity framework, if you go, let me show you something cool. In the entity framework, if you're running your system, I'll show you something really cool. Hold on. So, thanks to our thanks to our acceptance test, I can show you some of these, examples real quick. So let me just throw all of this nonsense away and let me revert all of this work. And let me just throw away everything. Okay, so let's just go back here, scale that guy, go back here. Okay, so here's the deal, man. If you, let's pick up students. Again, let's just go to the student model, right? In the student model in here, you have this select all students, which is this guy right here, right? Let's just stick to this guy for a second, okay? I'm gonna scope this guy here. I'm gonna tell you this dot students, students dot, right? And then there is a nice thing here called convert to SQL from SQL, right? So from SQL raw, give me a second here. Convert SQL. I just wanna show you the what this raw SQL looks like. By the way, if you really love Dapper, you can literally go and say from SQL raw, and you can pass in select all from students like this. By the way, like for people who say, oh, Entity Framework doesn't let me pass raw SQL, this will do the trick for you. Okay, but that's not what I'm trying to show you here. I want to show you the actual SQL that comes out of the Entity Framework, right? So EF core, let's just see. It's So we want to get the SQL query from Entity Framework, right? So there's something called toQuery string. Let's just see what that looks like, okay? So if
Hmm.
I go here, here's my students, right? And I'm gonna go here and say, okay, I'm gonna return this student just so it can just stop complaining. But this guy here, let's say this is your query. So var query equals students, right? And I'm gonna put a string here and say raw query equal query dot to query string. And let's see together what this guy looks like. And then we're going to play around with some of that, right? So let me just run my app here real quick. And then I'm going to hit the retrieve all students real quick and just see what that looks like. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Here we go. Just waiting for the Explorer, the browser to pop up. Okay, so I'm gonna hit this endpoint because I'm gonna on the swagger. You don't see it, but I'm gonna hit on the swagger the select all students.
Okay.
Are you with me? So let me
Yeah.
just show you what that looks like. So students, here we go. Um, here we go. So get all students, try it out, execute. So I should hit that endpoint at some point in time. There you go.
Hmm.
Now let's see what this guy looks like. I hope you can see. Oh man, it doesn't show you the stuff. Oh, that really sucks. Okay, hold on. So let me add watch. If you look here, it's basically doing that exact select for you, but it's really small, right? You can't see it, I
Mm,
bet. Let me copy it for you. Hold on. Let me copy this and let's go to
okay.
Notepad. This is the query that came out, Yasser, from the other side. Look at this. This is the query. Look,
Yeah. Okay.
right? That's the query. Now, let's just go and say we only want a student and first name.
Okay.
Let's go back here and let me go back to the Visual Studio in here, right? And then let's go back into the query. So in this query, I say where, huh? Student, actually not even where, I'm just gonna say select student dot first name, like this. Are you with me?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm gonna go back in time like this. I'm gonna pull my
Swagger.
yeah, I'm just gonna go back for a second there. Let's see if it can do that. Checking for any code updates. It's just showing a little message that says, wait a second, did you change the code on me? Back in the ye olden days, you couldn't do none of that stuff, but now you can. Okay, let me just, for the best interest of time, let me just start this over. Hold on. Okay, here we are. Let me stop this. Oh man, it already did it. Ugh, I just skipped real fast. Okay, you still can see my screen though, right? Or did
Yes.
it freeze? Hold on.
I think it was. I don't know.
Hold on. Let me find the screen again. I don't know why it doesn't see my screen anymore. Oh, there you go. Okay. All right. Are you with me? Here we
Mm-hmm.
are. And then let's go to students. Wow, this is a huge project. Like I have to scroll for a while just to get to the. All right, here we go, Yasser. Okay. So this one selecting only the first name, right? So if you go into the raw query here, I'm gonna copy that guy for you so you can just see. Oh, actually you can see it here. That's perfect. But it's not very clear. Let me go back to the notepad just so you can see here. If I print this out, look what it did.
Yeah. Just select the first name
Yeah,
from
so
the
how
student.
can
Yeah.
right, so how can anyone say that the
Right.
entity framework can only pulling more data than what you need? That's a lie. That's not true at all.
Yeah. Actually, I don't remember much, but that guy, he gave an example of two tables, and there was a relation between the tables and many-to-many relation.
Okay?
So, okay, we'll come back to it later on. Sure. So, no, this is the reason we are learning from Microsoft guy like you, we the YouTubers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
just
anyway, yeah,
getting verified the things because these
yeah.
guys, every Tom, Dick, and Harry, they are coming up in on the YouTube and giving lectures, and so I just I just go to the source, the root, like you
Don't
guys,
take don't take what I say as a source either. Examine and try for yourself. You
yeah,
know
yeah,
the best thing about our industry, Yasser, is what? Anyone who makes any claim about anything, we have the IDE right here. Let's verify ourselves,
mm,
right?
all
Let's
right,
sit down
all
and
right,
try it out. Let's see how it works, right? If I haven't been using these tools for years and years now, like if you go through my YouTube channel, you'll see videos from 2000, I don't know, 6 or something. You'll find videos and stuff that talks about exactly these same topics. And I'm not going to lie to you, the entity framework have went through some rapid, massive changes beyond anything you can imagine. Like visual the entity framework have actually evolved a lot since the last
Mhm.
time, you know, like if you have used the entity framework, I understand. Like I sit down in meetings where people say, "Oh, I used the entity framework 4 years ago, and it's crap," right? And I
Okay.
understand they're not wrong. It used to be really really terrible, but it actually evolved a lot through the years, and it became something that is really really cool. That's something that anybody can use, and it helps. And if I haven't built enterprise systems with it, man, I wouldn't have told people about it. This is why I'm
Right.
sitting here telling people, hey, listen to what I have to say.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's right.
All right, so
Okay.
back to our conversation. Let's go to. This is not real French. I just like to make. I just like the sound of it. So let's just go into this mode. We have very few minutes. Actually, we killed the conversation on
Yeah.
the Entity framework. Is there any models that you want to add here? Anything at all that you can think of? Primary.
um, the categories, we can obviously, plug in the categories later on also as we,
And let me ask you this. Do you want categories on what? On the store or the product?
pro- product.
Product? What about the
Yeah.
store?
Store, no, I don't think so because,
They're
when,
old-fashioned stores, kind of. Right, right.
so, let me give you an example. We have categories like, for example, we have sari. So
Mm-hmm.
we have categories like women.
Uh-huh.
This is level one.
Women
Then we
apparel
have,
and men apparel. Okay, got it.
yeah, women apparel. Then we have second as sari. Then we
Uh-huh.
have third level cotton sari. You know, um, uh, the other type of saris like Banarasi silk sari.
Mm-hmm.
So we have three levels minimum. We can go a little bit deeper also.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, we also have for we have for men's like top wear, men's apparel, then top wear, then t-shirts,
Uh-huh.
men's apparel.
Uh-huh.
Then second level is top wear. We can have on the second level top wear, bottom wear, and then on the third level we have t-shirts under
Ah,
top wear,
you want multi-leveled categories.
multi-level categories. Yeah,
Okay.
multi-level
Okay.
categories.
Yeah, we definitely need a secondary entity for that. So it's not just going to be a quick drop down. But hey, creating models with ORMs, just like I said to you, is just literally 2 minutes.
Mm,
And the reason why I love that you asked this question is because I know a lot of people, when they think about building a product, they think, oh, I'm going to take a lot of hours and days, especially for younger engineers out there with, little experience. They'll go out there and they'll say, oh my God, it'll take me 3 hours to spin up the models and all that. Let me just talk to you about this because this is important. It's been on my mind and I've been meaning to do a podcast about it, but just time is
mhm.
crazy.
Yes, please.
A good software, Yasser, is software that you write to be rewritable, to be susceptible to change. Meaning that I should be able at any point in time to throw a wrench at my software and change everything, and it should take me the least amount of time possible.
Yeah.
If the software that you're building, this is why I invented the standard, right? To allow people to change components at a massive enterprise level and not have to worry about waiting months and months and months to make this change. In fact, the standard 3.0 is going to really enforce this lake house idea. And I'll talk to you about that in a different session because you say don't give a preacher a micro, don't give an imam a microphone. He'll talk forever, right? So, so, so 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 the idea here is that we want to use the tools that gets our idea to reality as soon as fast as possible and is susceptible to change as soon as fast as possible because it doesn't matter how perfect you think your architecture is, it will change. And if
Right.
we know that
Correct.
it will change, then we need to make the change process simple. You
Mm,
throw a new row at me or a new column at me, it took me a minute to make it happen. That's software.
yeah.
That's modern engineering. We're done with this. We have here in America the healthcare system is a system called Vista. It's not Windows Vista. It's just called Vista. They just called it Vista. This
Hmm.
thing, I think it's written either in COBOL or Fortran or something. And the people who built it, they built it as if it's like in the stone. They can engrave it in the stone. It can never change. Nobody can change that system today. It's so old and so
Yeah.
perfect, perfect, but it's failing every day. You know what I mean? So let's make our software fluid as much as possible, susceptible to change, whatever the case may be. If you and I today, this is what I'm trying to say to the OData folks as well. If you're following these sessions, I know you are.
Yeah.
They're very concerned. They tell me, Hassan, but this approach, how are we going to do this? I'm like, chill out. We're going to write it this way now, and then we're going to
Hmm.
evolve and change this later. So
Yeah.
other than the categories, because we really need to ramp up, what other models that you need to do? Because we need to start writing coding now. We need to start
Hmm.
writing code. We're gonna do something called low level design architecture, which is gonna be very simple. And then you and I are gonna start writing code, my friend. It's gonna keep popping up a PR every time, a PR. You'll see how fast and fun software can be. Okay, and that's
Yeah.
my brand. That's what I sell people. So, any other models that you care about in here before we get started, or properties rather?
Uh, for store, you have just one attribute as photo, that is byte. So you know these store owners, they can have one. They can have a logo.
Hmm.
They can have one display photograph also for the
Let's
store owner. For
let's
the store
have
owners.
let's have photo and logo for now. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not even gonna store it as a byte array. I'm gonna store it as a string. Do you know why?
Uh,
Base
no.
64.
PNG base 64. Yeah. Yeah.
Base 64.
Yeah. I've seen that PNG. To convert that into. I don't know whether JPEG is possible.
We can make it JPEG. I don't know, maybe. But you know how much a string that's max var can take in terms of size?
Uh,
2 gigs.
no.
2 gigs.
Okay.
Like everything
String max
Shakespeare
var.
written, everything everyone written in the history of man can go into this one column in here.
Yeah.
So I think we'll be fine.
Mm.
Back in the old days, I've seen people like they go and say, okay, my system, I'm gonna define 80 characters or 90 characters in here for the
Hmm.
name. For the name. See, that's an arrogant move. Do you know why? Because how the heck do you know? You know how long my name is? You want to see how long my name is? Let me show you. This is why my name is chopped off. This is my name, yes. So let me show you this. Here's someone who's writing 80 characters, right? 80 characters, right? That's my name.
Hmm.
Actually, it's Al Hassan,
Hmm.
Muhammad Al Aryan, Hassan, Rizq, Ibrahim, Habib. That's my name. That's not gonna fit in nothing. And then every time I have a descendant, I will add to it,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And it just
Hmm.
keeps getting, it's like namespaces in C sharp. It's gonna keep getting longer and longer and longer.
Hmm.
Instead, these database systems are becoming smarter now. They say, okay, let everything somehow be max. We're not
Hmm.
gonna reserve the space. And storage is not a problem anymore. So optimizing for that, it's gonna case by case.
Right.
Anyway,
So
what
about one attribute I think for the product, which
mm,
is a product can
price
have multiple photographs, price. Yeah.
photos. Let's add price in here. Can we make the price decimal
So decimal, it will have.
or double?
Yeah.
I'll let you look
Decimal
up.
is
I'll let you look up this one. There's a little trick question there.
okay.
I'll let you look it up. And also, you want to have a photo, right, for the product, right?
We
Photos.
can have multiple photos. Yeah.
Yeah, this one now, in that case, we're gonna need to have a secondary entity.
Hmm.
and we're gonna call it product photos or product photo. And this guy is gonna have an ID, and then it has a product ID, right? Product ID, which is the GUID, the foreign key, and then we're
Yeah.
gonna have the right. We're gonna have the photo, which is gonna be a string. So now you have
String.
yeah. So now you're gonna have you can't have a photo can only be owned by one and only one product, and it's pointing from here to here. So here's your relationship, right?
Hmm.
Okay. Well, and that guy is gonna be now green. Actually, no, the
Yeah.
primaries are green because I like the green color. And then the secondaries will be blue. What else can I do for you?
We have comments that we did last time, and we had a discussion, which is a secondary entity, which is a dependent entity.
Yes, we can
Comments.
have this and we can have comments, right?
Hmm.
So let me tell you something. Let's evolve our models this way and then add more as needed, right?
Yeah.
Like as we need. You don't have to think about the entire solution from day one because we're not following a waterfall approach. You know what I mean by
Right.
that? Like we don't
Yeah.
have to invent the entire system in one sitting, but rather let's start with profiles, build the APIs for profiles and stores and products, and let's set up the relationships. And
Hmm.
then we can start. Once we build these APIs, we go build some UI for it. And once you're done with the UI, let's go back to the API and welcome to the full stack kind of
Yeah.
circle. What do you think about that?
Yeah.
Huh? So profile ID, GUID, right? And this guy is gonna be, this is what I call hybrid. It's many to many, right? Actually, no, it's one to one, so this is still secondary. And then you have a comment, the details, which is gonna be a string, and maybe rating and stuff like that. We can discuss that. Take it
Hmm.
one by one, take your system one by one like that. Once
Hmm.
you're happy and you defined your primaries, you can shoot into the secondaries as much as you can and as
Hmm.
much as you want. The system is flexible, yeah, so you can work with it however you want. If one day we go back and say, I don't want any of that stuff, I'll be like, okay, give me 2 minutes. Boom, done. Okay.
Got it.
And anyways, let's start writing some code. Let's actually decide, like, we'll discuss just for 10 minutes,
Hmm.
in our next session. We'll discuss just for 10 minutes the low level design, right? Just a simple API CRUD operations. We'll work through these together. I'll introduce you to pair programming and entity framework and all that kind of good stuff. And then, we're gonna continue to write amazing features and evolve Vazar as we go.
Yeah.
Does that
Okay.
sound like a plan? You're sad.
Yeah.
Something happened to you. What happened? Tell me.
No. No.
What is it?
This is, no, I'm just, this is a bad English, but I would say I'm starving to code. I'm
That's
starving to
that's what we're gonna do
code.
next time. We're gonna
Right.
write some code. That's what we're
Yeah.
gonna do. If I'm not coding, I'm not living. That's right.
Same here.
We have to write code every day, right? All right, my
Right.
friend. Yasser, as usual, it's been a pleasure hanging out with you today. I
Same
appreciate
here.
you as a human being, and I appreciate you as a brother, and I appreciate you as an engineer. And let's keep going this, and let's teach the world, share the world how to build great stuff, and
Yeah,
hopefully
sure.
you'll find a lot of benefit from this, and hopefully you'll be successful and prosperous in your craft. Okay, my
Yeah,
friend.
sure. Yeah.
And for the people watching us, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or compliments for Yasser, please feel free to drop a comment in the comment section, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in another video. See you, Yasser. Take care.